Hello and welcome to The Critique. Today, we're breaking down a TV interview with Tali Gotliv on Channel 14, where she gets into Trump's peace plan, the October 7th inquiry, and the coalition stability.
Let's get right into it.
So the first thing that really jumps out is this chess match metaphor she uses.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for the whole Trump-Netanyahu dynamic on Gaza. It's a really compelling frame. I mean, who doesn't love the idea of 4D chess? But
there's nothing there to back it up.
Exactly. It lacks the evidential grounding to convince anyone who isn't already a believer.
I was looking right at that part, where she dismisses what Trump actually said.
The literal text?
The literal text, yeah. He mentions Turkey and Qatar in Gaza's management, and she waves it away.
She calls it a ladder.
A ladder for Trump to climb down from the tree? She's basically saying, don't try to understand my moves, as if there's this secret strategy that we just can't see.
It's a great story, right? It makes her sound like an insider, but there's a huge risk there.
Oh, massive.
When you say it's chess, just trust me, you're asking for blind faith. And if I'm a skeptic and the evidence, the words on the page, says the opposite, calling it a ladder just feels convenient.
It feels like a dodge.
It's a total dodge.
So to make this actually work, she has to ground that metaphor in something concrete. We need to see the moves on the board, not just be told they happened in secret.
So how do you fix that? Because her intuition might be correct, but the argument just isn't landing.
Well, she could use a compare and contrast. She mentions later, kind of scattered all over, that Trump originally wanted armed Turkish forces.
Right, a really specific detail.
So build the argument around that. You say, look, move A was Trump demanding armed troops. Israel said no. Move B is the current proposal, an unarmed administrative role.
Ah, okay.
That difference is the ladder. That's the compromise. Then you're not asking me to trust you. You're showing me the negotiation.
That makes the chess metaphor actually work, because you're showing the pieces move. It goes from, I know a secret, to, let me show you the timeline. So much stronger.
Exactly. And she can do the same thing with the military side. She talks about the IDF pushing the yellow line inward.
Right, and she uses that to say, oh, we're not there yet with Qatar and Turkey.
Which feels weak, like she's just kicking the can down the road.
It sounds like denial. Don't worry about it.
Right. Instead, she should explain why that military move makes the politics irrelevant. Argue that, the genius here is that while diplomats talk about Qatar, the IDF has physically changed the facts on the ground.
So it makes their entry basically impossible without an Israeli green light?
Precisely. It links the bulldozers in Gaza to the press releases in Washington.
That's a robust argument. It supports the whole chess thesis without asking for that blind faith.
Yep.
Okay, that's a great pivot. Let's talk about the tone. The substance of her arguments is often strong, but it's just covered in these attacks on her opponents. And not just criticism, I mean.
You mean the ad hominem stuff?
Aggressive ad hominem attacks. Yeah.
It's very colorful, calling Naftali Bennett a crook and liar.
And mocking Yair Lapid, the so-called genius, the luminary of the exile.
It's vivid, but here's the problem. It just completely undermines her authority on the actual policy.
It limits her audience. It's the definition of preaching to the choir. If you're a supporter, you cheer. If you're anyone else, you tune out.
You assume it's a rally, not an analysis. And it's frustrating because she has some really sharp points buried in there.
She does.
I honestly wonder if she realizes she's devaluing her own intelligence by leading with the insult, trading a smart argument for a cheap shot.
So the suggestion is clear. Strip out the personal attacks. Let the policy failures speak for themselves.
Take the Lapid example. Under all the mockery is a really high-level point about Egypt.
About the gap between Sisi's government and the Muslim Brotherhood sentiment on the street.
Yes, that's a serious, complex risk. And that's the tragedy, the insult. If she just cut the sarcasm and focused on that, arguing that Egyptian control could be a Trojan horse for the Muslim Brotherhood to revive Hamas.
That's a devastating critique.
It's intellectual, it's based on history, and it's much harder to dismiss than just saying Lapid is dumb.
Completely agree. It shifts the whole debate. It's not Gotliv hates Lapid anymore. It's Gotliv understands Egyptian politics in a way Lapid doesn't.
That's how you win over a neutral.
And the same thing for Bennett, right?
Exactly. She calls him a liar about Turkey, but that's just forcing a conclusion on us.
She needs to show her work.
Instead of name-calling, just put the facts side by side. Bennett says X today, but when he was prime minister, his policy was Y. You highlight the hypocrisy through a policy comparison.
And you let the audience conclude he's being dishonest.
That's always more powerful. When the audience connects the dots, it sticks. When you scream the conclusion at them, they just get defensive.
Show don't tell, the golden rule.
Applies to politics too.
Okay, let's shift to the most complicated part of this, the whole investigation section. The Oscar affair, the Shin Bet, the Attorney General, this whole deep state cover-up narrative.
Honestly, that section was a whirlwind. It felt like I got dropped into the middle of a season finale without seeing any of the previous episodes.
That's the core problem. The way she presents it relies so heavily on insider knowledge that it's just impossible to follow.
She jumps from the team of the community document to Oscar refusing to meet the controller to some late-night meeting on October 6th.
As chaotic. If you're not already deep in this specific theory, the link between Oscar's refusal to testify and the Attorney General stepping in, it's murky. Why does one lead to the other?
The flow just completely disrupts the logic. She's trying to build a case, but she's just throwing pieces of evidence at the wall.
So the suggestion here has to be linearize the narrative. She needs to build it like a legal case, step by step, not just a scattershot of suspicious events.
I agree. If I were advising her, I'd say, start with the law, the black and white rule that was broken.
That's the anchor. The transcript says a former Shin Bet official has to appear before the controller. It's the law. Start there.
Right. Step 1. The law says X. Step 2. The incident. This official, Oscar, refused to do X. Instantly you have tension. A rule was broken. Politics doesn't matter. It's a fact.
And then step 3, the complication. The Attorney General didn't enforce the law. She went to the High Court to stop the controller from enforcing it.
And that's the climax. If you structure it that way, rule, breach, intervention, it's a clear story of obstruction. The listener is forced to ask, wait, why is the top lawyer in the country protecting someone who broke the law?
It leads them right to the conclusion she wants them to reach. Something is hidden.
But the way it's presented now, the gravity of that AG intervention is just lost in all the noise.
And what about that team of the community document? She keeps bringing it up.
Yes, she talks about it like we've all read it and memorized it. She starts debunking it before she even tells us what it is.
It creates this cognitive gap. The listener is stuck on, what document? While she's already 3 steps ahead.
She has to slow down. Define her terms. Say, this document claimed X, and it was sent at this time. Then you can explain why that's a problem.
You can't debunk a lie if the audience doesn't know what the lie was in the first place.
It's about pacing the information. You turn a conspiracy theory into an investigative report, and you give the audience the tools to follow your logic.
That credibility is so crucial for her final point, which is this really heated exchange about the inquiry committee.
Right, where the interviewer asks the perfect question about public trust.
And this was such a missed opportunity. The question is basically, how can the public trust a government investigating itself? And her response is just dismissive. I don't care about their noise. They are just putting on a show.
That answer is a killer. Just saying I don't care makes her sound incredibly defensive.
Like someone who doesn't want to be scrutinized.
It confirms the opposition's entire argument, that the coalition has something to hide. You're telling every moderate voter, I don't care about your concerns.
So she has to pivot. She has to acknowledge the validity of the concern about trust before she presents her solution.
How does she do that without giving up the whole point?
By reframing her method, the parliamentary inquiry, as the only one that actually has teeth. She mentions it herself. She claims the Shin Bet and IDF are hiding the October 6th logs, withholding evidence.
So instead of I don't care, she should argue, look, a state commission is led by judges, but those judges can only see the materials the establishment gives them, the very bodies I believe are hiding the truth.
Oh, that's a powerful argument. It validates the skepticism.
Exactly. And then she lands the punch. A parliamentary inquiry is necessary not to protect the government, but because it's the only body with the power to demand the raw materials that are being withheld.
That turns a defensive position into an offensive one about transparency. It's not, we're investigating ourselves. It's, we're the only ones brave enough to get the real documents.
It reframes the entire narrative. It's not about protecting the coalition. It's about piercing the veil of this deep state she's been talking about.
And it answers the trust question directly. You can't trust a state commission because they'll be fed sanitized files. You can trust us because we're going for the raw logs. That is a cohesive argument that respects the voters' concerns.
It turns her from a defensive politician into a crusader for truth, a much better look.
This has been a really productive breakdown. I feel like we've hit 4 key pillars that could transform this from a partisan interview into something genuinely persuasive.
Yeah, from the chessboard to the courtroom to the committee.
So to recap for everyone listening, first, ground your metaphors. If you're going to say it's a chess match, show us the moves on the board.
Contrast the actual proposals, the armed versus unarmed troops. Let us see the strategy.
Second, drop the ad hominem attacks. Replace the insults with that substantive critique about Egyptian politics or your opponent's policy record. Win on logic.
Third, structure your complex allegation. If you're building a case for a cover-up, walk us through it step by step. Rule, breach, intervention. Don't assume we know the backstory.
And finally, never, ever dismiss the public's desire for trust. Don't say, I don't care. Acknowledge the concern and then frame your solution as the only one that delivers real transparency.
It's about taking that passion she clearly has and channeling it through a structure that can actually change minds.
These are really concrete, actionable changes. We invite the listener to try applying them. Maybe rewrite that Oscar section using the structure we just talked about.
Yeah, send it back to us. I would love to see how that reads when it's laid out clearly.
Absolutely. Please submit your revised work for another critique. We look forward to seeing it. Thanks for listening to The Critique.
See you next time.